YouTube, what it do? And this episode 1, Timeless Tint. Man, we're going over how to get that good, clean, consistent installation on a windshield every time. Now, the windshield, hands down, the most complex, tedious, and important glass on a car when it comes to tinting. Now, first of all, it's the biggest glass. It's the most viewed glass. Anytime somebody's in the car, obviously you're looking out of that front windshield. So it's very important for you to be able to get that front windshield in clean and consistently. Um, the sheer size of it, the curve of it, it makes it pretty complex for a new tender to pick up the concept. So just gonna go over briefly, the steps that I choose was comfortable for me. That gives me that advantage every time I go to tint a windshield. And this car right here, it's the first time I actually done one of these. This is I think a 2014 Scion XD. It's a random car, but what I noticed was how big the glass is. Those big fingers that you see, those can be pretty difficult for a new tinter or someone improving to be able to shrink effectively. So as you see now, I'm just taking my time working the heat. Sometimes I'm gonna tap it with my card. You'll also see me using my fingers just to sort it, making sure that those fingers, like I'm doing there, making sure those fingers are aiming in the right direction to shrink so we don't get those creases. It's a lot of film. You don't want to waste film. You don't want to take more time than you need to. So, taking your time the first time is the best way to go about it. This is actually my favorite part of tinting. I wish that after I was done shrinking the window, I could be done. But unfortunately, this is only step one, maybe. Guys, I'm just working my heat, spreading it around nicely, not in a rush. I'm working my card, very small increments, maybe 2 inches at a time. But I am heating more area than I'm actually pushing with my card. This helps me so I don't get creases. Once that window's creased, when you're an exceptional tinter and you're charging that good premium price, you don't want to have any mistakes like that. You don't want anybody to question your work, your pricing. When you can get things down packed, you can get it right the first time, you can start to charge the price that you want to charge. And nobody wants to work for cheap. We want to be able to charge that top dollar so we can provide for our family, so we can buy the things that we want to buy, be free out here. So, one foot goes before the other. Before you can charge the top price, you need to learn how to do top quality work. As you see here, I'm strictly just working the heat. Back my heat gun up, and I'm just spreading it around. See that big finger in the corner? I'm not panicking, just spreading it around, letting the finger go wherever it wants to go right now. Just to get everything down first. And there's a big debate about what's called an H pattern. If you've been tinting or learning how to tint, you probably heard about the H pattern when it comes down to shrinking a front windshield or back windshield. Me personally, I don't use the H pattern. When I first lay that film on the windshield, I just put one straight line through the middle. But the H pattern does come into play. See, I'm getting a call from a customer, text from a customer. This is life as an entrepreneur. You gotta stop what you're doing. Customer comes up here asking about the bathroom. So this is real raw footage right here. A day in a life. Unfortunately, you gotta play multiple positions when you're the only man on your team, and it could be a good or a bad thing. But anyway, back to it. So I'm just want to spread that heat around, see where the fingers want to go. Reading the film. We can't just can't just give you the playbook and assume every time. Sometimes you really have to learn how to read the film. Every window's going to be different, but it's going to be the same. When you know what you're looking for, that's when you can start to implement those things that'll take you to the next level. But first is reading the film, spreading it out, observing, paying attention. I might put heat all around, but I'm only pressing one because it's all connected. So you don't want to go too far, and then the film actually causes the tension to pull in other areas. That's where you get in trouble. So be very generous with your heat. Spread it around, keep it moving. Use your hard card to press down a little bit at a time. Take your time, man. As a tinter, I've been doing this for some time, and I can tell when a car's been tinted with love. Most of the mistakes that I've made in the past were because I was rushing, plain and simple. You might know better, you might even be wiser than the decisions that you're making, but if you're in a rush or you're trying to hurry up, the quality is just going to go down, no matter who you are. I think a lot of tinters will agree with me. I'm sure I'm past the line of sight of the actual windshield, but like I said, I really like to shrink, so I'm pretty competitive with it. I like to see if I can shrink it all the way to the top, even though it's unnecessary. That part's gonna get cut out anyway. You might hear my kids in the back. My son's playing Fortnite and my dog running around, so pardon any extra noises. We got that one side down, going over to the other side. I'm gonna point out some of these big fingers, some of these big valleys and peaks that you should look out for in a second. Using my finger to point that up. So this is the part of the H pattern that I mean. Once I only tack down the middle, but once I bring that heat out, I want to point those sides and those corners in the right direction. I don't like to tack it down with my hard card because that sends too much tension in unwanted places. But once I bring the heat out, I can gently influence the direction, and then I can push it up. Those corners, that's where a lot of new tinters and even myself had issues with when I was first learning how to get those corners correctly. So I like to spread the heat generously, and I like to start at the corner. That's the most difficult part. So when you start at that corner, the middle is a lot easier to shrink. It's almost a given. You get that down, that middle will just lay in place real easy. So spreading, being patient with it, spreading the heat around. This part is just gonna lay easy. That corner, that's where it's at. You might want to start there if you're having issues with shrinking. We just get into it, man. It's all coming together nicely. Making love to the window. I can always tell when a car's been tinted with love or if it was rushed. I like to get really good shrink when the film is shrunk perfectly to the curve of the glass. To me, it just lays in place a lot easier. I'm pointing out these big valleys and these big peaks that you should be looking out for. So you see how I'm just using my hand right now, making sure nothing gets bunched up, stuck. All the heat flowing. I'm focusing kind of on those bigger fingers, heating everything, just a little kiss of the heat. And I'm going to start at that corner. I don't lay it all the way down. I just get that ahead of the rest, if that makes sense. I love to get a nice tight shrink. I feel like it just makes everything look smoother once that window tint is installed. You can tell there's less bubbling after you squeegee it. It's just it's just a lot more smooth outcome once you get a good shrink. I spread this heat out, taking my time with it, not overly focused on one area. Influence that corner, make sure it's aiming the right direction. I'm just working it, very little hits with that hard card, very small, taking our time, getting it done correctly. I got that big finger, I'm just going to focus a little bit there more, because I don't want to get ahead of myself in any area. I want everything to be pretty even, not hyper focusing on one area or one thing, just free flowing, reading the film. You got that heat down, you in charge. That film's gonna do what you want it to do. You gotta have that confidence and that vision. You the man. You the person that they're paying. They're paying you to tint that glass. So just have that confidence and that putting in the work. You on YouTube. You're learning how to get better. You're learning how to improve your skills. Have that motivation and that passion that you're an entrepreneur too. There's a lot of people ahead. There's gonna be a lot of people behind you. If you're putting that work in every day, to improve, that's the goal. Okay, I'm bouncing back to the other side. Little strokes. You're gonna see me now. I don't want to have that heat in one place. So sometimes what I do is I push the finger over a little bit, so I'm not just putting the heat on one area. This is also out of the eyesight of the actual glass, but like I said, it's my favorite part. I love to just shrink the whole thing, man. Alright, got that glass, got that film all the way shrunk, looking good. Off of the camera, I actually did trim, so you can tell that it's a little more trim to the perimeter of the glass. What we're going to do now is called reverse roll, or some people call it California roll. But just gonna lift this up, get a little water underneath, just to tack it down. I like to spray a little bit on the top so everything goes smooth. This is hand cut, so we do gotta use our teeth to separate the liner from the film. Clean hands, clean fingers all the time. And even with the clean fingers, we still don't want to touch the actual tint. So all liner work right here. I like to peel this in a triangle form, if that makes sense. Trying to get the water, get the slip solution all through. Lay it back down. I actually learned this from the OG Matt Blackmer, I think, Matt in Detroit Tint Studio. It was the first time where, even though he's a veteran tinter, he was trying to reverse roll for the first time, and I was experiencing reverse rolling. That's how I learned. So even me knowing how to tint, having my procedure down, I was still on YouTube searching for knowledge, just like you're doing now. And him being a beginner taught me something. So for all tinters out there, we never stop learning. We're students of the game. We love it. So we're always feeding our brains. We're always learning new things. So just because somebody's new at something, that doesn't mean that they can't teach you something. You can learn from anybody. But one thing that I do try to do, I try not to get the liner, the outside of the liner bundled up backwards in there. So when I peel it back, I try to make sure that it stays on the outside, and that's where that triangle technique actually does help. So as we roll it, I like to roll from the passenger because I like to install the driver's side first. Now this isn't like the most perfect, the best, the smoothest. This is just a random day in the shop. Actually probably a little bit more nervous because I know that I'm gonna try to put this on YouTube. So, it's just human nature. I'm not looking for my highlights to post to act like I'm the best tinter in the world or anything like that. This is just me on a regular day, regular car. Just want to spread the information, the knowledge, the love for the game, and share it with y'all. I probably could have rolled this up a little bit better, but in all honesty, as you're going to see in a second, how that liner isn't perfect, it doesn't really matter. As long as the film is cool, that liner can be folded up a little bit on the inside. It's not going to have any effect on the film. I had to tell my kids to cool it for a second. I'm in the basement bathroom, aka the office right now, but only on the inside. So I do like to use a regular spray bottle because I like to control the amount of slip that's going. It's pretty risky, to be honest with you, spraying on the inside of the car. A lot of vehicles, they have modules and things like that aren't really protected if water gets behind that dash. So right now I'm just trying to show you how the liner is actually poking out. I grab that piece to open it up using my back of my fingernails. You don't want to touch that liner. A lot of the contamination comes from our fingertips, so clean fingers and just using the back of my nail. I'm gonna place that driver edge right there, taking our time. Next time, get a better angle so we can see exactly everything that I'm doing. I usually try to take off mirrors and things like that. This car I didn't know how to, so just gonna work around it. No big deal. Not gonna have any effect. Taking our time, placing everything. It gets around perfectly, and adjust that mirror. I didn't show the prep, but prepped the glass, squeegeed it. I scrubbed it. I scraped it with my straight blade extended blade, and then I wiped everything, perimeter of the panels as well as the back of that rear view mirror. Dust could be hiding back there. So now we got the windshield in. We're good. Just making sure I did cut this kind of tight. So just making sure I don't have any light gaps is really important. I cut around the rear view mirror. So I just want to make sure there's no light gaps anywhere. Money is in the details. You get clean. You don't want any creases and any light gaps. A lot of times you get really driven by cleaning the window with our prep work, but to be honest, most of the contamination that comes in window film is coming from our hands, it's coming from the panels during our installation. So no matter how good you clean the glass, you can still have contamination and dust if you're not careful with your installation. So boom, I'm going at it, my 8-inch. This is a softer squeegee. Just want to tag it down a little bit in the middle, but we really want to focus on around that mirror. We want to tag that first. I do not have a soak rope in this vehicle, But one thing I do to make sure that we don't have any issues, like I said about those modules behind that dash, push everything to the side and push it up. We don't want to push big amounts of slip solution straight down behind that dashboard. That's where we could run into problems. So everything I'm doing, I'm pushing it out to the side and then up. Squeegee one. I'm gonna switch these tools out. My hard squeegee. I'm gonna go at it a little harder with this one. I'm gonna get all that excess moisture out. A little bubbling, as the film cures and dries is gonna be normal, but we want to alleviate as much of that as possible. We charge a premium over here, so this ain't a $50 windshield. I want my customer to feel like, I got my windshield tinted over here at Timeless, man. I didn't have bubbles, I didn't have these issues, and that word of mouth, that's the best marketing you can have, man. Every window, every car I do the best job I can possibly do. And we got our final outcome, man. 35% on the windshield, 5% on the sides and the back. And yeah, man, that's that. 5-star review from the customer. He was happy. He's actually thinking about selling this car, getting rid of it. After the tint, man, it changed his whole perspective, and that's why I got into it. Thanks for joining me.
Sure, what's the year,
Episode 1, 2025, my New Year's resolution to start my channel, and I did it.
Do you know what
Thanks
windows
for
you want
rocking with
tinted on
me.
the kicks?
Subscribe, share, comment. Out.